What's up, everyone? Neo Reality Entertainment here, Eric Brown, your host, and AEW continues to rebound from what happened a month ago. Oh gosh, it's hard to believe how much time has quickly passed. I feel old. Definitely not as old as me using a typewriter keyboard or anything. Anyways, so Chris Jericho won the Ring of Honor champion. He beat Claudio Castagnoli. People were really hating that. And I was just that guy that's like, he won it, okay? I mean, like, I assume it's because they're going to have a TV deal soon, and they were like, well, he worked well for AEW, let's put him on Ring of Honor. And let's be real, Chris Jericho, if he was way younger, would have definitely thrived in Ring of Honor as a pro wrestler, and just like he thrived in WWE as an entertainer and as a wrestler. But still, he would definitely have kicked ass in Ring of Honor when he was in his prime. So, yeah. Chris Jericho won the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. It's the silver aesthetic belt, which for some reason, I know I'm always a fan of the gold versions of belts because I feel like it just comes off with this air of worthiness and prestige. Every time when I look at the Ring of Honor belt, when they had that bigger world title design for it where it was gold and black, I was like, there's something about it that doesn't make me think Ring of Honor. It just makes me think generic world title for another promotion. But when I look at the Ring of Honor silver belt that Chris Jericho's holding and what they brought back, that's the belt I always look at and think, that's the Ring of Honor world title. That's the belt that makes it work. It's like silver and red. I don't know why it just works for me. And yeah, I'll admit, it is a little weird, Jericho holding it, because, well, it's Jericho at this point. Like, if this was prime Jericho, he would have killed it with the belt. He would have killed it in a Ring of Honor. Quite possibly literally, considering how damn good he was when he was in his full Apex prime. But we have 2022 Jericho, and he's still great in the ring. He's just not as quick and fast like he used to be, because that's what happens when you get older. But at least he doesn't have his massive gut out. Yeah, remember when he had that? He even admitted, like, yeah, that was part of a character arc I was doing, which, you know, people couldn't help but fat shame him because, yeah, Jericho's fat. He shouldn't be in the ring, even though he could just shred himself of it. And you know how people like to make the accusation that it's clearly the roids. And like, do you have any evidence to support that thesis? No, it's just he's from the 90s. Anyways, so we got the long-awaited return of an All-In original. He actually was the main event of All In. Bandido! 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 Yes, Bandido. Man. One of the original scouts, they were trying to see, hey, can we get this guy for AEW? We got a promotion starting up. Oh god, it feels so long ago when it was just a spark in people's ideas concept in their mind, a twinkle in their eye. Bandido is a phenomenal wrestler, and he was one of the, like, okay, we got Bandido, we gotta get Bandido for AEW. He will fit well with this. And WWE called him and said, hey, you want to come to us and be part of 205 Live? And probably hung up immediately because he knew that was a death sentence, especially since you would have to wait about 4 more years before Vince retired. So, yeah, he would have killed it in NXT, I feel, but then the reboot would happen and they would go back to the more experimental route. Bandido, I would have loved to see Bandido take on Rey Mysterio. I know they work together in that awesome 6-man tag team finale, and that would be the only time we saw that. Like, I'm sure they probably did have a match outside of the bigger promotions of the independent space, but still. And the fact that he didn't sign with either AEW or WWE was a shocker. I thought he would sign with either one of them. He signed with Ring of Honor, and he was originally going to defend the Ring of Honor World title, and then he got sick. And yeah, that was a bad day. Then Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, and then they had him unify both the original belt and the old world title belt, and he lost that. But they did point out he never really lost the belt since he was, quote, vacated of it due to COVID. Or like he still carried it around with him, so I don't know what the deal was that, if that wasn't the case. But at least they gave an explanation. And Tony Khan, because some people couldn't fathom the idea of AEW being so connected with the wrestling industry, unlike the other place, that they were demanding, why is Bandido? Who the hell is Bandido? He looks like every other masked luchador. And I'm like, okay, granted, one, that's a tradition in Mexico, professional wrestling, lucha libre. How is that a problem, though? Like, one of the famous ones is Ultimo Dragon. You love Rey Mysterio tribalists. And, of course, we got all these people complaining about Juice Robinson especially, even though some people should know more about him since, well, he was in WWE for a little bit. Well, he was the Eco-Planet hero, and, you know, environmentalism is a political issue, not a scientifically environmental issue. Gasp! Vince's words why he stripped Bryan of his eco-friendly rights. So Bandido and Juice Robinson were given video packages to showcase how they are, who they are. I never sadly got to see it because I have work, but I got to stick around, but I managed to watch the main event. And oh man, Bandido. If they did this, and I would wish they would, they offer him a deal. Like one of the AEW originals they could have gotten, they could have offered him a deal. They could offer him a deal right now, but the roster's so big, I don't think they could. I'm like, they can afford more of the women wrestlers because we need like more effort put into them. That or they're going to make their own show. That's the rumor going around, which I feel mixed about because it feels like yay, the women are getting time. Why is it being on a separate show instead of being on a main show? But okay. Bandido would take on Chris Jericho to revenge his never winning the title thing. Well, never losing it, but yeah, he got a #1 contendership by default, and took on Chris Jericho, who finally revealed his motivation, what he's going to do with the Ring of Honor belt. And it's not what we thought it was. In fact, it's oddly familiar. But let's talk about the match. Can we get Bandido a contract? I know the roster's bloated, but look, you're probably going to get rid of CM Punk soon if the investigation goes the way it's likely going from what reports and from insider information as best we can scrounge up. It does sound like Punk's morally fucked. That or, you know, Punk somehow works it out with the Elite, which, judging by what we keep hearing, it doesn't sound like that was ever going to be a case. So if Punk is gone, I'll settle for Bandido. Like, we got a well-known talent, and he's self-destructed for reasons that he intentionally planned. Yeah, that was reported. What happened that night? He was heading into All Out, heading into that match, heading into the backstage, rehearsing the line, I'm going to snap and destroy everything I had built. According to Fightful Selects' sources from AEW, because apparently Punk told someone, hey, I'm going to go ahead and commit career suicide. What? Anyways. I know I'm getting off track, but I like every time I talk about AEW lately, I keep feeling this compulsion to talk about what happened, because there is a video I want to make, but I need to wait more because I need to wait for the official ending to the investigation, and then we can pass judgment afterwards. Or freak out after. But Bandido... Oh, man. I can at least understand why Ray would go back to WWE. Because for the same complaint people were making about Bandido, what could Ray offer besides, like, his legacy and legendary status? Because he's Rey Mysterio Jr., baby! In terms of skills, like, prestige, he has that. He's always going to have that. Props to Ray and everything he's done and proved to break the barriers. But now it'd be much harder to continue being in a high position when you have all these other guys like Bandido and Rey Fenix, which if Rey Fenix ever took on Rey Mysterio in his prime, the Rubber Factory would be like, well, we're done with business, everybody. We can go home now. But Bandido, oh man, my only wish is that he was around when Eddie Guerrero was around. Would have been great. And Chris Jericho actually pretty solely sold the match well. He fought mostly clean, then used the mask advantage, because every heel has to do that in America. In fact, now that I think about it, I don't think I could be, like, maybe Eddie Guerrero, but I don't think any other heel has done that with Rey Mysterio besides Eddie. Huh. Like, I could be wrong, but still, that gives me food for thought. But, yeah. Bandido got his nose or mouth busted open, and his mask is bleeding profusely, bleeding bit by bit. Slowly but surely, now it's the geyser we got with Britt Baker, who then smeared it on her stomach. Which, I was like, well, Britt Baker's gonna be over for, like, about an additional month or so, and they're probably gonna make a cert about it, like they did last time when she was bleeding like a faucet. But Bandido, pure white gear, that was asking, like, let's be real, that was asking for blood to be smeared on it, because of course that has to happen. I kind of did wish Jericho dressed up as Lionheart for just to do this, and considering what he's going to do with the Ring of Honor belt, oh, that's going to be a thing. I'll get to that. So Bandido does actually pretty well against Jericho. Makes Jericho look a little bit more younger in his younger days, having to make him tap into his old and younger self. And this is actually a pretty good match. Good main event. And now we have a big story for Jericho as the ROH champion, where Jericho has decreed it is the Ring of Jericho title, and he has declared that he is going to destroy the legacy of ROH and build Ring of Honor into his dark, twisted image of sports entertainment. And when I heard that, I was like, that sounds a little bit close to what the idea of, sort of, Vince had when he was ECW champion, which was the thing. And to be quite honest, that's more unbelievable than Jericho winning the ROH title, because it's Vince, and there were just several problems with that and this one. Vince wrecked ECW's reboot. ECW's reboot was doing phenomenally well. Week in, week out was basically the big show. It was popping the ratings more and more, popping quality week by week by week, that people were treating it like how NXT was being treated compared to the main shows when Triple H ran the show. then I could get the story. Then I could get behind the story of Vince holding the ECW belt and wanting to destroy its legacy and destroy ECW. That sadly isn't the case in ECW's role, whereas Ring of Honor is still being respected, its footage is still being used, its past is being recognized as opposed to being ignored and besmirched, whereas Vince is Vince. Let's just go with that. Vince was Vince. And I can always take a wild guess what the payoff is. But, like, we get where the story's going. Where, like, if ECW's plan, if the end game of Vince's goal, in fact, how did the Vince run end? Like, I don't think he even, like, really lost it. And, like, it's still surreal to see, Vince was the ECW champion, and it was recognized as original. Vince McMahon lost it to Bobby Lashley. Yeah, that was a thing. And for about a month, he reigned terror with it, and it went back to Bobby Lashley. And I'm still thinking, yeah, that doesn't work with him because then Bobby Lashley was immediately drafted to Raw. And the reason why it didn't work with Bobby Lashley was primarily because Bobby Lashley wasn't an ECW wrestler or was a wrestler that respected the honor and prestige of Extreme Championship Wrestling. Whereas in Ring of Honor, the continuity is still there, the history is still there, they brought in the ring announcer, they even bring in commentators from time to time to honor its old legacy. They even still do shows, they're trying to get a TV deal, and it seems like they're going to go back to Warner Media with it, because Warner Brothers Discovery, provided David Zaslav doesn't shoot himself in the foot again. And Jericho holds the belt, and they still do good matches, and Ring of Honor's been so far having bangers throughout their content. I could at least get behind the story this time, and I already can take a wild guess what the end goal is. It's going to it's not going to be a Ring of Honor original, or he's going to rock them down. He's going to be Jericho's going to be a mixture of Legend Killer Orton and Vince McMahon. The sports entertainer holding the legacy of a prestigious belt to people that meant a lot to people. He's going to be the ROH killer. He's going to be the new Legend Killer for Ring of Honor wrestlers. He's going to hunt down anyone he's going to destroy and hunt down anyone who tries to even so much as think of the idea of who carries the ROH belt with pride and dignity, which he then beat up the living hell out of Bobby Cruz with the Juice effect. After he said he would destroy commentators, refs, and announcers. So, does that mean he'll go to Sinclair Broadcasting and beat the crap out of them? What if he does this? Jericho actually starts singing the praises of Sinclair Broadcasting for not putting the effort for Ring of Honor. I'm like, just saying, I can imagine Jericho doing that. And if Tony Khan sees this video and he takes this idea, that's gonna be like 10 grand, please. DM me, man. I need your money. Like, you still owe me 150 for swerving our glory. Swerving our glory. So, yeah. God. I'm gonna keep that feud going. I might even if I go back to an AEW show, I might might make a shirt saying pay me my money. I may swerve in our glory, pay me Con, and whatnot. And if I was at the media scrum and I had a chance to speak, I would say, hey Tony, can you pay me my 150 grand? I made Swerve in Our Glory. Did you see my podcast with my buddies? We represent ATW. You see our podcast? Because that's the only way, unless someone else came up with it way before me, which I sincerely hope not, because then I can't claim then I had to go have a war of succession over who made the name, and that would take forever. But let's do that story for Jericho, where he brings up Sinclair Broadcasting and their sort of poor relationship with Ring of Honor when they owned them. Oh, man. And I know where it's going. Daniel Garcia is going to be the one who steps up and eventually dethrones Jericho and end his Ring of Jericho reign of terror over the ROH brand and legacy. Because Daniel Garcia has been teasing, yeah, I'm not comfortable with the sports entertainment stuff anymore. I've been hanging out with Blackpool Combat Club. I've been battling Bryan Danielson. Oh, and Jericho challenged Bryan Danielson on October 12th in Canada. Yes! So that's going to be fun. But Bandido, I sincerely hope he got signed. Let's take a look before we go. Okay. A little faster. Nope. Damn. Oh, damn. I was hoping we would get a Bandido signing. Bandido is all elite. Like, come on, let's do it. I'll sell for him, and maybe we can use Punk's contract for that. So, yeah. Bandido is no more. And Chris Jericho still reigns supreme as Ring of Honor World Champion as he is christened the Ring of Jericho title. Which makes me now think he's going to break it, but I think it would be much better shame if he just went ahead. Oh, God. Tony, if you're listening, here's my next pitch. Instead of destroying the belt like every other supervillain heel that does it, how about instead Jericho just mockingly does this? Okay, see? The ROH belt. Here's duct tape, and I'll just write J on it because that's how much I look at the Ring of Honor title. This is the disgrace I'm giving it. I'm not even going to put in the effort to make a custom-made commission belt of it. Unlike Bryan Danielson and his organic hemp, where I'm pretty sure Matt Riddle is secretly thinking, I need that. I kind of need that. So, yeah. Come on, let's do that. So, yeah. Bandido, Jericho, great match. I know I got into some tangents. It feels good to be back a little bit more and more. Can't wait to see where it goes on next. I got some other content I want to talk about on the wrestling side of things. Been back on my podcast recently on Neo Reality Collective. Check that out. So I'll see y'all again next time. This was Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE, the WrestleVerse, hosted by Eric Brown, giving you Chris Jericho, Lionheart, and Bandido. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other content in the description below. Stay for more. I'll see y'all again next time. Peace and care, and have a good day, everybody. Peace out.